up control. So trust in the unknown means letting go of control, giving up control. And we do this in our practice, in the meditation practice, when we literally allow the practice to take us wherever it will, when we are exerting no influence, we're not using any power and no manipulation to try to have any particular experience. Trust in the unknown looks like no preference for what happens next. Trusting that whatever happens next is perfect. And being more interested in going where the meditation wants to take you than in getting anywhere in particular. And that means no matter where the meditation wants to take you. The challenge with meditation, particularly for more experienced meditators, and as I said, I think most of you are. Some of you are very experienced, seasoned meditators, and others are quite experienced. I don't think there's many novices here. But the challenge for us, and I would include myself in this category, the challenge for us who have done a lot of practice is at some point you're good at the practice. You're good at meditation. You're good at letting everything be as it is. You're good at giving up control when you're sitting still. But how deep your practice goes is always also a function of how much risk and how much control you've let go of in the life that you're living. So if in the life that you're living, you are maintaining a lot of control and unwilling to take risks and keeping things safe, you can't have wildly liberated and free meditations inside a life that is limited and controlled. And at some point, that's just the way it is. And you notice with certain people who have powerful awakening experiences, their experiences actually seem to be triggered by the fact that their life is so out of control. I think of someone like Eckhart Tolle, who had a powerful awakening experience when he was homeless, living on a park bench. So clearly his life was out of control. Or Neale Donald Walsch, who wrote Conversations with God and was in a similar situation of homelessness when he had a powerful awakening experience. Now, I certainly am not advocating giving up control of your life in order to have powerful spiritual experiences. But I do think that all of us, at some point on our spiritual path, if we feel like we want to go further, if we feel like there's depths of practice that we're not reaching in spite of our best efforts, then it becomes important to look honestly at yourself and the life that you're living and see to what extent has it become comfortable? To what extent am I living inside of a predictable, more or less safe existence? Now, the tricky thing about risk isn't always spiritually valuable. So you could run across the highway blindfold, and that would be very risky, but it wouldn't have any spiritual value, and it wouldn't positively affect your meditation, I would guess, at all. At the same time, there are risks which are spiritually valuable. And to me, in my own life, the way those risks show up is as opportunities to devote myself more completely to my heart's spiritual longing. So if I look at my own life and I look at the things that I'm doing, and I look for, are there places which are inhibiting my surrender to spirit? Are there places, significant places in my life in which I am not taking risks, not giving up control in a way that is limiting my surrender to spirit? Are there places, in other words, that spirit is calling me that I'm not listening, or that I'm choosing not to listen, or that I'm postponing until later? My own spiritual path involved a lot of meditation. And it has also involved a lot of risk, a lot of hearing a call and saying yes to it, and giving up control and allowing my life to reconfigure in ways that I couldn't imagine. Those of us who are seeking spiritual freedom, that's the kind of life we're seeking. It's part of what we're seeking. Part of the reason we start to seek is that we feel ourselves being too boxed in, too confined by life circumstances which are not being defined by our heart's call to spirit, that are being defined by other concerns, that are being defined by cultural expectations or survival fears, or any host of other things that we tend to make decisions around. So in getting on with you all today, and in having the opportunity to kick off your meditation day, I thought, for a group like this in particular, a group of people who are more seasoned practitioners, who have spent more time in meditation. And what's interesting is when you start to contemplate and talk in this way, and you start to speak about taking more risks in life, it's very natural for us in that context to want to emphasize our lack of experience rather than our fullness of experience. In other contexts, you talk to people, and people are very happy to say, "Oh yes, I've meditated a lot. I've been doing it for 4 years now, and I'm very serious about it. I do it every day." If you start talking about risk in life, the tone changes to, "Oh, but I've only been a meditator for 4 years." So in one context, 4 years seems like a lot of experience. Then you shift the context, and 4 years can sometimes seem like not that much experience. But I think 4 years is quite a bit of experience, really. Especially if you've been fairly dedicated. So just in kicking off the day today, I wanted to connect trust in the unknown with the life that we're living, because our practice is always embedded inside our life. And you're actually not going to be more willing to give up control in meditation than you are in life. You're the same person when you sit down at the cushion that you are when you're making your choices in your, daily life. There's not two of you. There's not the meditating one who is wild and free, and the one that lives a daily life that feels more burdened by responsibility. There's just one of you. And if you're going to let go of control, so you can't let go of control in meditation further than you let go of control in life, and vice versa, or I don't know if it's exactly vice versa, and you can't let go in meditation. You can't let go of control in meditation without also letting go of control in life. You see, meditation's not really safe. So if you decide in practice that you're going to let go further than you ever have before, and you give up control in a way that is dramatically different than you ever have before, and that you ever have before in life, then you're going to find that your life has also gone out of control. There's no way to limit what happens to just there's no boundary around meditation that separates it from the rest of your life. So the reason why we don't let go of control in meditation, or often the reason why we don't let go of control in meditation, is because we don't want to let go of control in life. Because if you do, if you let go in meditation, if you really allow yourself to experience the true freedom that you are, without limits, without boundaries, without caring what happens next, that's the trust in the unknown. Feels like I don't care what happens next. I don't care if I sit in this practice and after my whole life blows up and I just decide that everything's going to be different now because of what if you're not willing to experience something so powerful that it shakes up every aspect of your life, then you're not going to experience that. You won't allow yourself to experience it. So what ends up happening often is people meditate hoping to have, wanting to have, desiring to have a truly liberating, mind-altering, paradigm-shattering experience. But in fact, they aren't willing to let their life get out of control. So if you're not willing to let your life get out of control, then no matter how much you think you want to have that kind of experience in meditation, unconsciously, you will make sure that you never do. And as soon as you are truly ready to allow your life to get out of control, it doesn't matter whether you're in that moment could happen in meditation. You could just decide to let go and surrender, or it could happen walking down the street. You could decide. It doesn't matter where it happens, but wherever it happens, whenever you let go that much and it's authentic and you really are ready to give up control, to surrender over to the divine, to allow the chips to fall wherever they may, as soon as you decide that, your consciousness will expand into proportions that you may never have imagined before. And of course, it doesn't matter for any of us, including me, how many times we may have experienced that in the past. This is always the moment that we're talking about. And what matters, the divine is a very demanding lover, you could say. The divine wants everything always now. And you don't really get credit for past experiences of release. You know, everything is always resolved. So you're always given the gifts that you deserve at every moment of letting go. You're not owed anything later. So you always have to pay again. So, and that is true for me as much as it is true for anyone else in the room. So this kind of contemplation is going to fuel your practice much more than anything else. And it's not helpful to force yourself, to try to force yourself to want to let go, to want to give up control. You can't do it. You know, you can't control giving up control. You can't use will to get yourself to let go of control. The only thing you can do, and the only thing that works, is being completely honest with yourself. When you really see the exact degree, you know, when you see in your own experience the exact place where you stop, when you really see it, you know, we never want to see that place. We never want to see the place where we are stopping the process. You know, we want to feel like we're doing our best, we're working really hard, we're not sure why it's not happening. But when you see, it's literally like the Wizard of Oz, you know, it's like picking up the curtain and seeing that it's you that's holding the whole thing back. You know, when you see that from one point of view, you have always been completely in control, because this dramatic liberation, this sweeping, getting swept off your feet by spirit, you know, having your life be taken in directions you can't imagine, that's always wanted to happen. That's always ready to happen. The divine has no hesitation about your surrender. We have hesitation about it. So when you see for real the fact that it's always been you holding on, there's never been anything in the way. There's never been any block. There's never been any obstacle. There's never been anything you didn't know that was holding you back. There was just a holding on, unconscious though it may be. When you really see that, when that holding on becomes conscious, something dramatic happens. Because suddenly you're actually in the position of letting go. And from a certain point of view, you can't even control whether you let go or not. All you can do is see the truth of holding on. And then from then on, it's almost like it's either your karma to let go or it's not. But all you can do is stay exactly in the reality of the fact that you're holding on. Never allow, because as soon as you allow yourself to take the position of in any way being victimized by the holding on, in any way feeling like you're being held back, then you're abdicating responsibility. But to the degree that you are just able to unflinchingly stay in the recognition that it's always been you holding on, means that you're always in the position of letting go. And if you sit there, letting go will happen eventually. It be this lifetime or some other, but it will happen. So that's how I wanted to introduce the day. I wanted to begin with a call for giving up control. You know, you have the power to be completely honest about where you're holding on. And in doing that, you're able to take responsibility in a certain way for the awakening process, and at least give up the position of there being a block. You know, we hear this all the time. There's no block. There's nothing in the way. There's no obstacle. But the fact is, it's actually true. And when we see for ourselves that there's no obstacle, the only way we see that there's no obstacle is by realizing that it's always been us holding on. So with that, I'm going to ring a bell, which will invite us into meditation. And then at 10:45, I'll ring the bell again. And the session will be over. Thank you all. Have a great day of practice together.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We'll take a short break and be back at the top of the hour. In deep appreciation.
Thank you. Bye now.